Okay, I'm really glad to be here. So on the 8th of April, 2008, I had written a couple of lines of code in this new tool, and I didn't have a name for it, so I asked my dear girlfriend at the time, now wife, who's a human rights lawyer and doesn't know much about software, what should I call this thing? And she just turned her head up from the book that she was reading, and she said, I think you should call it Cucumber. And I thought that was a bit silly, and I've decided that as soon as I come up with a better name, I will rename it. Now, if you fast forward 9 years, Cucumber has become the de facto standard tool, and the Gherkin syntax is what most people who do BDD or test automation use. If we look at, now where is my clicker? Here it is. If you look at the download statistics, you'll see that the downloads increase roughly every 18 months. They double roughly every 18 months. And by the end of this year, Cucumber in the 6 most popular implementations will have been downloaded 15 million times just in 2017. Now, that doesn't mean that there's 15 million people using Cucumber, because the number is obviously lower than that. But based on book sales and based on a number of factors, we estimate that there is somewhere between 100,000 and 1 million users of Cucumber in the world today. A Cucumber is an open source tool, so anybody can contribute improvements to it. And I've been looking at how many people have contributed code over the years, and there is there's more or less 900 people who've contributed, which constitutes, based on this estimate, somewhere between 0.1 and 1% of all of the users actually contribute something back to Cucumber in terms of bug fixes, in terms of code. And if we look at the typical contributor, that is what I would call a drive-by contributor. Somebody who finds a bug, they fix that bug, they submit an improvement or a pull request to GitHub, and waits for somebody on the core team to merge that pull request and put it in the next release. And then we never see them again. And that's great. Because most people just have, they've got this particular problem, they fix that particular problem, but then they move on. And I think that's the way it should be in open source. It should be open, should allow anybody to create a small fix. Now, if we go and look at the three official Cucumber implementations on GitHub and look at the issues, let's do that. We'll see that for the Cucumber JavaScript version, there's 19 open issues at the moment, 70 for Ruby, 186 for Cucumber JVM. And if you look at the average age of those issues, that's between 100 days and 2 years. That makes me a bit embarrassed, a bit sad. I wish I could do something about that. Now, I work in a company called Cucumber Limited that we founded that basically does 3 things. We do training. We develop a commercial product, which you can learn about down there. And we maintain the open source code, Cucumber itself. Now, only the 2 first of those are revenue generating, right? And if you look at the core team of each of those projects, you see that Cucumber.js is essentially, there's 2 people who are regular contributors, who aren't drive-by contributors. They are the people who take the contributions from everyone else and does the triage and decides whether or not this should go into the next release. For Ruby, there's a bit more people. And for the Java version, there's really only been 2 in the past couple of years, and there's a new guy who just started making lots of great contributions. Rian, are you here? Hey, nice to meet you. Welcome. I just reached out to Rian 4 days ago. It's like, hey, do you want to come to London? Yes. Okay, great. Welcome. So, so if we look at the proportion between how many people are using Cucumber and how many people are regularly contributing to Cucumber by being part of this core team, the ratio is about 50,000 to 1. So for every 50,000 people using Cucumber, there's one person who is trying to make it better on a regular basis. Now, what do these people have in common? They're all good looking. They're not all white dudes. Most of them are, unfortunately. No, what they have in common is that none of them are paid to do this. Not a single one is paid to write software that is free, that is used by between 100,000 and 1 million people around the world. And because they are not paid, it is often difficult for them to justify spending a lot of time making this software better, especially when you work in a small bootstrap company that is just humping along, managing to pay their founders, like the one I work for. And this is bad for all of the companies that use Cucumber. We've heard some talks today about companies that have decided to use BDD and Cucumber as a very essential piece of their IT strategy. But there's very little that they can do to improve this situation up until now, up until today. So imagine that every user contributed £1, a dollar, or euro per year. It's not a lot of money. But that means that we could have somewhere between 100,000 and $1 million or pounds or euros per year to spend on making Cucumber better. And we could build so many incredible things if we had this money. First of all, we could go through the backlog and close most of those issues, either by fixing them or by closing them. We could improve Cucumber support for mobile devices like iOS and Android. We could write some documentation and put on the website. That would be great, wouldn't it? We could make a better report generator. All of the Cucumbers have their own report generator, which is, let's say, it's not very good. We could have Cucumbers that can run in parallel or in a distributed way so that you can run things much faster. We could do some of these really interesting things that we've been thinking about for a couple of years now, which is property-based testing, which is basically you define the rules of what your system should do, and Cucumber will actually just come up with the test cases based on those rules. We can do something like the Hat has had for many years, which is called Suites. Basically allows you to run the same Cucumber scenarios either through the UI or connected straight to your domain, which gives you the trade-off between either speed or coverage or confidence. We could make pure functional step definitions, which will make it easier to share state between step definitions and so on. We could create test case prioritization support, so Cucumber could be smart and know based on history which scenarios are the most likely to fail and run those first, which would be really useful if you have a long-running build. You can do so many interesting things. And there's no way that you can help us do this, because there is no way for you to send your financial support that would encourage people who currently are working for free to justify spending some time doing this, until today. So we are launching today something which is called the Cucumber Open Collective. Now, what is that? Cucumber Open Collective is an open, transparent ledger. It is basically a place where financial supporters can put money in, and anybody who is part of the core team can submit an expense report for some work they've done, and take money out and be paid. And all of this money isn't managed by our company. This just belongs to the Cucumber community, the contributors and the users. And it's completely transparent. Contributors will have the opportunity to indicate a preference for what they would like people to work on. So they can say, I would like all of this money to go towards improvement of documentation, or we really need parallel support, so please use it for implementing parallel distributed support in Cucumber, and so on. So finally, there's a way for you to influence. And this is how, together as a community, we can ensure the health and the future of Cucumber as an open source project. So I encourage every one of you to make a small donation. It will make it easier for you to use Cucumber in the future. You'll have a better Cucumber, and you will secure its future. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have a quick question for Aslak while Paul sets his machine up?
Yeah, we'll give you a microphone.
Yeah, I was just wondering, would this platform support bounties? So, for example, somebody has a vested interest in solving particular areas, they might be able to offer a sum of money for a particular area just to target it?
So buying a feature.
Yeah.
Buying a feature, yeah, definitely. It would support that, yes. So if you're a company, there is this particular feature that you need. Now you can put a certain amount of money in there, and somebody on the core team or somebody who isn't on the core team might join, right, and just work on that just to implement that feature. Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we haven't quite figured out yet is who is eligible to take this money. Is it just the people who are contributors who are not part of our company, or is it okay for example, people like me to submit expense reports and, so, that I also get funded for this? Or I wouldn't get funded personally, but it would go to my company or something. And this is something we haven't decided upon, and this is where we would like to hear what you think, because we don't want to give the impression that this is something we're doing to line our pockets. This is something we're doing to secure the future of the tool itself. So we are very open for feedback about how to design and how to run this crowdfunding campaign. So if you have any thoughts, please send us an email.
Yeah, or Cucumber, we can talk about it.
Or Cucumber.
Yeah, Aslak's away tomorrow, but he'll be there on Sunday.
Yeah. And I'll take one more question. Okay.
Sean.
This might be an obvious question, to be honest, but I imagine that most of us would want to try and convince our companies to fund. Can you maybe just think of a way you might approach that with them? Because a lot of the people here might don't have access to, say, senior management or something like that, or finance. I know it's not necessarily a question that you could answer.
I mean, it's like, is this a critical? If this is a critical tool in your tool chain, nobody is paid to work on it. So by paying, you can increase the likelihood that bugs get fixed quicker, and you get the features you need. That's really it. The Open Collective helps as well. Yeah, so they can also help. So the Open Collective is an independent organization that can also help make,
yeah, so I guess that was my question, is that can we contact you guys to say, can we put you in touch with the relevant people, maybe if you want to?
Obviously, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much.
That answers my question.